In this section of the video tutorial, we're going to walk you through how to set up a game of Syndicate. First, take out the game board and place it in the middle of your table. Place a clear cube on the round track in the 1 box. You'll use this cube to track round progression throughout the game. Next, place the alert track near the board. Place another clear cube on the alert track in the 1 box. This track represents how alert the Sovereign is to crime in its system. Whenever players fail a mission or try to assault other players, the Sovereign alert level increases. Higher alert levels result in more punitive actions taken by the Sovereign against all players. Bonus chips provide players rewards for setting up new criminal bases. These chips come in 3 colors corresponding to the 3 zones of Arcturus: green for Exo, orange for middle, and yellow for inner. Sort the bonus chips into 3 piles by color, reward side down, and shuffle each pile separately. Place 1 face-down green Exo bonus chip in each of the 6 corresponding Exo placeholders. Then place 1 face-down orange middle bonus chip in each of the 9 corresponding middle hex placeholders. And finally, place 1 face-down yellow inner bonus chip in each of the 3 corresponding inner placeholders. Place the leftover bonus chips back in the box. Now we're going to set up the Sovereign card deck. Take the Sovereign cards out of the box and look for the beginning of the end card. Set the beginning of the end card aside and shuffle the remaining Sovereign cards face down. Draw 2 Sovereign cards and shuffle together with the face down beginning of the end card. Draw 4 more Sovereign cards and place on top of the first 3 cards. Finally, draw 1 more Sovereign card and place at the bottom of the new deck. Put the leftover Sovereign cards back in the box. Place the Sovereign card deck in the corresponding placeholder on the board. The Sovereign deck should now have 8 cards in it, with the beginning of the end card somewhere in the 5th, 6th, or 7th position. Remove the operation cards from the box and shuffle together. Deal out 4 cards for each player and leave aside. Place the remaining operation card deck into the corresponding placeholder on the board. Also place the advanced tech card deck and the base card deck in their corresponding placeholders on the board. Remove from the box and set aside the other game pieces you'll be using shortly, including the 3 6-sided consequence dice, the 12-sided Sovereign die, and the 18 base tiles. Put the currency cubes in reach of all players. Place the Sovereign Destroyer on the alert track, and put the assault ship near the board. Finally, get the Player 1 marker ready. Now that the board is ready to go, let's set up the players' Syndicate mats. First, shuffle the Syndicate card deck and deal each player 2 Syndicates. Players will pick one of the 2 Syndicates to play as. Once players have made their selection, they should find the corresponding player mat. Give each player a set of colored player marker cubes, a cheat sheet, and the 4 operation cards set aside earlier. The front of the mat is a player's dashboard throughout the game, keeping track of resources and abilities. There are 3 boxes for resources corresponding to Sovereign credits, political influence, and crew. Each resource box tells players how much of that resource to start the game with, which players will collect now, and their racketeering income, which indicates how much of that resource players will collect as part of the resource collection phase, before taking into consideration resources from other bases and bonuses. You can ignore the racketeering income for now, as this will only become relevant during the resource collection phase, and we'll cover that in more depth later. Let's do a brief aside on resources. As alluded to a moment ago, there are 3 types of resources in Syndicate: Sovereign credits, or credits, political influence, or influence, and crew. Resources are stored in 3 denominations. Silver cubes represent 1 unit of a resource, gold cubes represent 5 units of resources, and crystals represent 10 units of resources. Back to setup, let's say we're setting up the Ascenders, which have 3 starting credits, 0 starting influence, and 5 starting crew. So we'll place 3 silver cubes in the credit box, nothing in the influence box, and 1 gold cube in the crew box. Let's place a player marker in the first box of the tech level track. Different syndicates have different starting tech levels. In this case, the Ascenders have a starting tech level of 3. Over the course of the game, players can increase their tech level in a number of ways, and at certain tech levels, players unlock special abilities. Next, let's look at the assault track. Your assault level determines the maximum strength of your assault and other players' bases. As with tech levels, different syndicates have different starting assault levels, and throughout the game, players can increase their assault level. You can tell the starting assault level by the blue highlighted box on the assault track. In the case of the Ascenders, the starting assault level is 1. If this were Constellation Corps, however, the starting assault level would be 2, and if this were the Fixers, the starting assault level would be 0. Since Ascender's starting assault level is 1, we'll place a player marker cube in the level 1 box, and a second player marker cube in the adjacent armed box. We'll cover assaults in more detail shortly. Next, place one action die in each of the 2 armed boxes under the action dice header. Action dice are used for completing missions and assaults. Whenever an action die is used, it's moved from the armed box to the used box. Each round, used action die are reset to armed during the resource collection phase. Finally, make sure to check whether your syndicate has a starting bonus, which you'll see in the top right of the mat. In this case, the Ascenders have 2 bonuses. They start with a fortified base on Black Star, and also collect bonus resources during the resource collection phase for each exo base they control. We'll worry about the second bonus later, but we should set up the fortified base on Black Star now. Since we start with the fortified base on Black Star, we'll take the Black Star base card from the base card deck. We'll also remove the bonus tile on Black Star and put it back in the box with the other unused bonus tiles, and replace it with a base tile with the red fortified side up. Finally, we'll place one of our player marker cubes on the base tile to mark that it belongs to us. We'll talk about buying and fortifying bases in more detail later. Once every player has set up their respective player mats, roll the 12-sided sovereign die to see who goes first. The player with the highest roll gets the player 1 hex, indicating they are the first player to act in the first round. With that, setup is complete and you're ready to get started. Although not necessary, we recommend nominating an archivalist, who will act as a banker and oversee sovereign cards and resource collection.